From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew.
Hello and welcome to episode 258 of the Blind Android Users podcast. I'm Ed Green and I'm joined today by my co-hosts Sally Kundus, Karine Kiwan, John Dyer and Warren Carr. And we are coming to you on a Saturday, the 15th of November, 2025. And I'm delighted to say we have a dedicated episode this week to a sensational return to Android, and that is Eloquence. And we are joined by Eduard Sanchez from Code Factory to tell us all about it. Before we get into all of that, Warren, how are you?
I'm doing well. You know what? This week's kind of been great because finally, we're supposed to be getting colder, but last week was just nasty. This week has been better. Actually, as I speak today, though, we may even hit 58 or 60 degrees. So I'm looking forward to it. When we're done with this episode, I'm going to go out there and just have a little bit of fun and all of that good stuff. But so I'm thankful that we're finally seeing the sun out there, because it's just been, like I refer to as, we've been living in a pea soup.
That does sound a bit better. Glad you're having better weather. It has been absolutely biblically raining around here. It's been very
I don't like that. Yeah,
no, it's very annoying, especially when you've got to walk quite a long way to work. Not fun at all. John Boy, how are you?
I'm doing good. It was a pretty typical week. I'm feeling much better than I was. Actually, the whole family's feeling much better than we were last week. So we're getting over whatever it was we had. I'm a little disappointed, though, because I got an update on my OnePlus phone finally to Android 16.
And congratulations!
Yeah, and I was not impressed with it. Like they didn't really fix much of anything that I didn't like about it, the phone, as far as like accessibility related stuff. So little disappointed there. And then, not that I was considering pre-ordering the 15 that was announced, but you can't even buy it in the US yet, because the government shutdown, the FCC filings are backed up. So anything that's been filed that hasn't been approved yet can't be sold. So it's just sitting there, notify me button instead of pre-order on the website. So at least I'm not even tempted right now at the moment.
So tell me something, John. Is the fingerprint reader thing fixed? Because I know in previous whatever it wasn't, say move up even though you're above it.
It is fixed.
Is that
the
fixed?
laziest way you can fix it, by getting rid of the announcement altogether. So it doesn't tell you the correct direction now. It just stops telling you move up every time you touch the screen anywhere.
Is it still an amazing fingerprint reader? Because I've never listened to those announcements. Like my finger just knows where it is eventually on my phones. Like I know that Samsung is slightly lower than most other phones.
Yeah,
but like OnePlus always had a really snappy fingerprint reader, and I used to love it when I had a OnePlus 8.
Yeah, it is good. And to be honest, I'm glad the feature is there, but it annoys me more than anything. Even on like the Pixel or Samsung that work, like sometimes I'm not trying to unlock my phone, I'm just trying to explore to find the notifications on my lock screen, and it's telling me to move down. And it's like I'm not missing the fingerprint sensor, I'm just trying to explore the screen. So I feel like it should be something that's optional anyway.
Yeah, and it's wrong to say, move down or move up when the screen is already unlocked. That's just redundant. So that's silly.
Well, it doesn't do it when like it's fingerprint unlocked, does it? It does it when it's alive, but not the phone is unlocked. So the screen is on, but the phone is locked. You see what I mean? So you're on your lock screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I never even listened to it. I just like my phone is nowhere near.
I don't
my
listen
ear.
either. Yeah,
No,
but
I just know.
And
It
usually
doesn't
when I'm
bother.
going to unlock with the fingerprint sensor, my screen is, well, of course you can't do this on a Pixel, but my screen is off anyway. Like my
Yeah.
screen isn't even lit. I'm just putting my thumb on the screen to unlock it. So the direction wouldn't even work in that case anyway.
I thought you could do that with the Pixel now. Can you not? I thought they'd fix
They
that.
took it away.
What?
Yeah, I think you were not here when John and I were talking about it.
They didn't. Here's the thing: they technically never gave it to you because it was in a beta.
Yeah.
But they never, when they released the stable version, they took it out. So they never technically gave anything to anybody.
That's right.
That's insane.
Google giveth and Google taketh away.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay, good. Karine, how are you?
I'm doing well. Everything is good here, and I'm optimistic after seeing rain. This time, serious rain for the first time.
Yay.
Yeah, finally. Things are okay here.
And Sally, how are you? I hear pretty much every Turkish player and referee in the entire league has been suspended, but is football still on?
Yeah, football is still on. This is the international break. The lower leagues are suspended for 2 weeks to go, and let's see how it's gonna go because there are players, there are referees, there are also some personal like stuff involved in those crazy stuff. So let's see what's gonna happen. And besides that, yeah.
2 Galatasaray players have been suspended.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's gone all the way to the top, hasn't it? Like it's absolutely.
Yeah. I'm kind of happy about it. What to say?
But you're well, are you? And yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing well. This week's been rainy here as well, and some of the neighbor cities got snow already. Especially early this morning, I've got the news like some of the roads are closed for snow. Maybe next week or the other one, we will be having snow for the year. Let's see. And how are you?
I am well, thank you. Apart from the weather, all is fine here. A fairly standard week, busy week, but yeah, all going well. Very glad to have Eloquence on my phone as part of the thing. But we'll come to talk about that in a minute.
And now, the announcement segment. This is a segment dedicated to things we want you to be in the know. And now for this week's episode, here's your announcements.
Let's turn to our announcement section. And Warren, I think we have something big coming up next month, don't we?
We do have a biggie coming up next month, and as we indicated, I think it was last week or the week before, we're observing our 5th anniversary, and I can't believe, guys, that we're coming up on 5 years. It's a long time in the making, and so we're really looking forward for you guys to come in and just party with us. We just want to just turn it loose. And like they say in Hawaii, hang loose. That's what we want to do. Coming up on December the 20th of this year, that's going to be our 5th anniversary. And we're looking forward to you guys coming in. So just go on and come in and let's just party together. You have some friends you want to invite to it. Please, we encourage you to do so because it's going to be a very big one for us.
Absolutely. And John, did you find that a very eloquent announcement?
I did. I really did.
And
I also have another announcement that might relate to somebody's birthday. Does anybody have any guesses whose birthday it might be today?
Yeah, of course. I know.
Karine's?
Is it your birthday, Karine?
When? During the celebration of the anniversary?
No, today.
Today?
Hey, Warren, when's your birthday?
It's
Just out of
Warren.
curiosity.
I see where John is driving at.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. So it's my birthday today,
Yeah.
the 15th, turning 59 years old.
Oh.
And you were
So
not
really-
even gonna mention it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's just
okay,
it's
so
just
thanks,
any
John,
other day of the year.
Yeah.
John boy. So yeah, today is actually, so I forgot about it myself. Like I said though, I'm not into anniversaries. I always forget my birthday and all of that. But today is my birthday and it's a beautiful day. So I think we're just gonna go out and eat Chinese food later on when I'm done with editing and all of that good stuff. So thank you so much, John.
Yeah, happy birthday. I
I
hope you
knew
have
that it's your birthday, but I wasn't sure it's today or the other day.
Yeah,
Happy
I
birthday
cut the month.
tomorrow.
I cut the month in half. So the 15th of November is my birthday.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
So take a break today. Take a break. Don't do the editing.
No. I have to. I have to do my editing. It's not gonna be in my way. I'll finish it here real quick and
Edward is
yeah.
waiting for the link, so you should be doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, don't do the podcast. I'd take the podcast off if I were you. Don't be part of the interview. Oh no, wait, it's too late. You're already on.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
If I were there, I would give you 59 cheek pulls to celebrate.
Oh my gosh, I'll go to bed
that's
with a
what-
sore cheek.
That's what Katie Kins gets. She gets cheek pulls like for one cheek pull per year, as does daughter actually.
Do you
So they both
alternate
go.
or do you stay on one?
No,
cheek?
it's doubles.
Oh,
So
boy.
Michiko tried to claim I should alternate, say that like it would be like if she was 5, 3 on the left, 2 on the right, and I said no, it's a bit like chess. So it needs to be white and black need to move for it to be one move. So it's double pulls.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had
bless
that
that
argument
girl.
with my
God
with
bless
my
that girl.
child before, and the wife indeed. So yeah, no, they raised it, John. They did.
Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight.
And for our spotlight session this week's, it's a really exciting event, folks. Eloquence on Android is back, or will be very soon when it's out of alpha and beta. This is something we've all been waiting for, and I'm delighted to say to talk about this, we are joined by Eduard Sanchez from Code Factory. Edward, how are you?
Doing good, and you? Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you very, very much for finding time, especially on a weekend.
That's
Now,
not a problem.
I think everyone probably knows what Eloquence is and what Code Factory is, but why don't you just take it from the top and tell us a little bit about Code Factory?
Okay, Code Factory started nearly 30 years ago. And right from the start, we have been very focused on accessibility. We've gone through different phases in our history. We started developing computer games for the blind together with the Spanish blind organization called ONCE. And then we moved on to software for mobile devices, especially screen readers for the Symbian and Windows Mobile and BlackBerry platforms. And then currently we still have a portfolio of accessibility products for different platforms. And we are currently also working with different companies with integrating text-to-speech and ASR, speech recognition, into their applications. Not only for accessibility, we also deal with e-learning projects. And so, that's pretty much our history.
And you're responsible for a couple of speech synthesizers, aren't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's Vocalizer, which we'll all know, and what you're here to talk about today, I think, is after a little hiatus when it fell out of compatibility with newer phones, Eloquence, which those of us who use JAWS or who have bought on SAPI 5, Eloquence is coming back to Android, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
That's great. Warren, do you want to kick off some of the questioning then?
Yeah, of course, I'm the historian. And Edward, let's talk about that history. When you guys first brought Eloquence to Android back in 2014.
Yes.
And I remember, though, that I had my Galaxy S, the S4, and it was so exciting, and it was something we were boasting about, because finally we got what we were using together with Joss on the computer, and now we had it on the phone. And I remember you guys made that announcement at CSUN in the spring or something, somewhere there. I don't remember. It didn't come till maybe like the summer of that year, I think it was. So let's talk about what really pushed you guys to actually developing that thing for Android back in 2014, fulfilling something that had not happened before. We were just swimming in lots and lots of TTS engines back then, and you guys just crowned it all. Take us back to those years.
Okay, that's a long story. You have time? Because
I do have all the time in the world.
Okay. Well, okay. So the history really goes back to 2004, when we released our first product with for Symbian devices. There was a screen reader that we developed called Mobile Speak. I don't know if any of you remembers, but at that time there was no Android, there was no iPhone. There were Symbian phones, and there were actually two companies developing the first screen readers and the first accessibility solutions for mobile phones. Were two companies. One was us with Code Factory with Mobile Speak, and then there was another company called Scansoft that they had a product called Talks. I don't know if any of you is familiar with that, but it was a very popular screen reader.
Yeah.
The thing is that Scansoft owned Eloquence. As you probably know, Eloquence comes from the early 90s, and it was acquired by this company called Scansoft, which also acquired this small German company that made screen readers for Symbian devices. So the developer of Talks, Torsten Brandt, knew that Eloquence was extremely popular among the blind community, and basically they bundled Talks with Eloquence. That's to me, that's really when Eloquence first appeared on mobile devices. Of course, we were competitors at that time. So we were not allowed to use Eloquence, which was, a very big competitive disadvantage for us. So we had to license other text-to-speech engines from other companies. We had a huge variety of text-to-speech engines with our software, but really the disadvantage to our software was the inability to have Eloquence. As years went by, the iPhone came out, Android came out, Symbian faded away, and we started collaborating with Scansoft in different areas of our business. We immediately realized, both of us, that there was no point in continuing to compete with a product that really was fading away, because Symbian was really going down. So we started collaborating on other projects. This was around 2012, 2011. And really, at that point, Android was becoming really popular, and we decided to focus lots of resources on developing accessibility solutions for Android. And then, it was a natural step, really, that since we were collaborating with, it was no longer Scansoft, it was Nuance Communications. They really acquired another company, and then they rebranded. We decided that it made sense to actually port Eloquence to Android. The initial efforts started, I think, in 2012, 2013. The engineering behind this project was huge, because, as I said before, the technology is really old technology, and whenever you need to recompile it for new platforms is always a challenge. So and that's it. That's basically when, you know, after a year of work or so, we released Eloquence for Android.
That's absolutely beautiful, but you guys were very good at keeping secrets because no one knew. It just took us by surprise, and
Yeah.
it was a beautiful surprise. And here we are, and then we proceeded on with it, and then 2016, or I think it was 2017, somewhere in there, when Google changed the language. I mean, wanted things to be developed for 64 bits. Of course, you guys and lots of others had not caught up to that 64-bit yet. And so it still continued to work on our devices. And all of a sudden, you know, now we're getting into the rough years, and out of nowhere, it looks like we had the disappearing Eloquence from the Play Store. And
Yes.
I remember we used to have another podcast called Antad, and one of our episodes was the disappearing Eloquence. And so,
Yes.
so,
Okay.
so take us to that, you know, Edward, what happened there that, you know, people wanted this to be compliant, and then something happened, something bad happened.
Something bad happened right after the release of the first version of Eloquence, really. When we released Eloquence in 2014, we were, I think it was we were in the top 10 new application downloads for the week. So it was extremely popular, which was no surprise to us, because we knew that the community would really enjoy this product. Right after, I would say less than a month after the release of the first version, cracked versions of Eloquence started to circulate, which after a few weeks really brought the sales down to close to zero. Probably not zero, but, you know, certainly you saw a trend of sales that was going upwards, and it was, you know, it was good. And then after the cracked version, it just went down. Even though this was a huge disappointment for us, we continued the development of this product for I would say a year or 2 years. But it was impossible for us to keep up with additional changes that were required for this product. As you mentioned, 64 bits, but there were also other challenges. The Android framework is always evolving. Of course, it requires the application to be adapted to new, you know, sets of APIs and new function calls and things like that. So really, the problem. It was really a revenue problem, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, it just from a business standpoint, it just made no sense.
Oh, I totally understand, because if there's no cash flow coming in, then we have a problem. I have a staff that I'm paying, and I'm not getting any money coming in from that product. Then it becomes a problem whether I discard that project or I discard the staff. And so which one do I do, right? So I see where that is, and this is why it's very important that we figure out how to go about these things. And so definitely it wasn't that you guys were unable to compile something to be compliant with the 64-bit. Rather, it was kind of because there was nothing coming in to support that development, which is the primary reason why. And
it is certainly not impossible to compile it for 64 bits. I mean, Apple has done it on iOS, and we have done it now on Android. It's just that it's not hitting a button, right? We're talking about software that was developed in the early 90s. None of the people who developed that software are available to answer any questions. So you need new teams of developers to look at the code, understand the code. I've personally seen the Eloquence code. I'm a developer, and I took the task of trying to, you know, make it work for 64-bit. It was a huge task, in my opinion. So, you know, it required a lot of engineering effort. Besides, as you know, we're not the owners of Eloquence. We are the developers of the product. We own the product, but the technology the Eloquence technology does not belong to Code Factory. We license it from another company, which have access to the source code, and they need to allocate the resources to compile it for 64-bit, right? So, if you have no business case, you're unable to convince anyone to actually do that.
Could we unpack that a little bit then? So are they compiling it for 64-bit, or are they?
It is a joint effort.
A joint effort. Yeah.
There's a team of several developers involved in that. Some from Code Factory, some from Serens. It's a joint effort, and it's not a simple effort. What I'm trying to say is that there is a cost associated with that. That cost is only covered with sales. If there are no sales,
sure,
it's impossible to do that.
Yeah. And what changed your mind, just stepping back out of that? I mean, I, like many others, like I remember I wrote to Melanie Endres going, why won't you do it? I didn't care. I kind of, I played the ostrich head in the sand thing, saying, there might be a 64-bit OS. I'm like, there hasn't been for ages. And then it happened, and there were 64-bit phones. So what persuaded you that actually this was a thing worth doing in the end?
Well, I think, we have never forgotten about Eloquence internally in our company. As I said, accessibility is in the core of our history and our product line. So we've always known that it's a good thing to have. But again, and I'm sorry to insist, sales were zero. As the 64 support for the phones with 64-bit became more and more widely available, and due to the inability of the cracked version to work on 64-bit, we saw an opportunity to actually revamp the product again, which, by the way, we did at our own risk, because we did the effort, we did the investment to make it work on 64-bit. And that's already been paid for. I'm sorry to bring the money issue all the time.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm trying to explain things.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, you're running a business, right? And you spent a year. Everybody spent a year developing something that was basically dead after a month. Like
exactly.
That's not any way to make money, right?
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, at some point we said, okay, so 64-bit phones are becoming popular. The cracked version is not working on 64-bit. We love Eloquence. We really want to provide this to the users. So let's take the risk and let's do it again. So we started from scratch, really. I mean, we assumed the cost and the effort of porting it to 64-bit. We developed the product on top, and and here we are. We're right now I think we're in alpha, and I think that on Monday we're jumping to beta with more and more users. And I must say, and I want to make this publicly known, that after a couple of days of having the alpha version available to a small set of users, which we had selected from various countries and having different phones, all that you do with an alpha, some of these users were getting emails offering bribes to actually get access to the alpha version of Eloquence, in an attempt to crack it even before we could release the product. So
that's astounding.
It is.
Well,
It is.
It's not
So,
surprising, but it's very
remember,
sad.
guys, I was telling you earlier this morning that somebody was talking about they want to do this. This is really, really.
Yeah. We know that.
So here's my question coming along with this. You know, you really explained so well about the history of the product and how it becomes available back again. So how are you going to fight against this? Do you have any strategy for this?
Yeah, I won't go into details, but of course we have improved security in the application. But again, I mean, I guess that if they can get into the CIA servers, I'm sure they can crack this application. So
Well,
but yeah, we've done. Oh, of course, we took this as a high priority. We've done our best. To the best of our knowledge and technical skills, we have developed a good security system, and we'll see how it goes.
So is it the reason why we have the subscriber ID and also we need to provide analytics to you?
No, not really. I think that the subscriber ID. What do you mean? You mean that the application is a subscription-based model, or?
I mean, when somebody subscribed in their about section, they have a subscriber ID.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's part. Yes and no. I mean, it's not really part of the security system. Let's say it could well be considered to be part of the security system in the sense that the license is verified against an external server rather than Google Play, let's say, on the phone, which is very easily crackable. But no, I think that information in the about is more about the application being a subscription-based application rather than a one-time payment. We need to be able to track the user somehow,
exactly.
in case, but not in an evil manner. But we get lots of questions regarding my subscription expired, I want a refund, or I want this and I want that, or and you need to, as a provider of an application, you need to clearly identify the user in case they have any problem or any question, or you need to provide further assistance to that user.
So, Edward, here's my thing here, and I know subscriptions keep things alive, and there are those out there that are kind of arguing for a one-time payment, which at this point, in my never to be humble opinion, probably is not something that is doable, or, I mean, you guys could decide. It's totally left to you. But my thing is, are you guys going to be thinking about maybe like the subscription should be based on different countries, for example? So I'm here in the States and someone in Mongolia or some crazy place like that. Would you guys be considering maybe giving them different subscription? Because I think part of the problem why people are cracking these things is because the affordability. And if we make it affordable for them, I'm kind of, the gentler nature in me thinking, and which may be naive, that people may not.
Yeah. As you can imagine, we have thought a lot about that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're being naive. I am naive too. I think that if you provide an affordable price, people will probably pay if it's a fair price.
Exactly.
We know that we have analytics, of course, of the usage of the application across different countries. We know that, and we know that some countries that are, like India and I don't know, Brazil, they have a huge number of users of the application. Based on data that we have from let's say the official version, not so much from the cracked version, of course, but we've been following mailing lists and things like that. So we pretty much know the usage of the application across different countries. And yes, we will provide a subscription fee based on each country, keeping in mind that countries like India and Pakistan and Brazil will have a lower price. Yes, that's been taken into account.
So for this, are you going to talk to some people from those countries, or you're only going to follow the analytics?
No, the analytics allow us to know, how popular the application is in a particular country. So we know that there's lots of users in those countries. And then we have done some market research and talked to different companies about being able to provide an equivalent price for the application according to the income of the average income of those countries and so on. And so we will provide on, let's say, per country price for the application. Yes.
Have you guys decided yet? Now, obviously, it's not even out yet, but have you decided yet what you're going to charge? For example,
that's something that I cannot answer at this point.
No, that makes sense. But it is going to be a monthly subscription only,
it's
right?
It's going to be a monthly subscription, and we're also going to be allowing a yearly subscription fee with a discount. Yeah.
Cool.
Now you are speaking my language there when you talk about the annual subscription, because I would rather pay once a year and forget about it and go drinking my coffee.
Yes. Yeah. In the early. That's why it's important to listen to the feedback of users, right? That's why we do alphas and betas and so on. Initially, to be honest with you, our idea was to go with a monthly subscription fee. And then we got a lot of feedback from alpha testers saying, well, maybe this is not the best idea. Maybe as you say, maybe I would just want to pay once and forget about it for a year. And yeah, we decided to introduce that. So that's how it's going to be.
So one of the things I noticed, Edward, when I launched it, was I had to confirm that I was 13.
Yeah.
Now, can a parent authorize Eloquence on a child's account? Do you know? So let's say I have a blind child, or you're a sighted parent with a blind child under 13. Can they run it? And if not, what's the rationale for that age restriction?
Yes, the parents can. Okay, so that 13 plus thing comes, and I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you, but I think it comes from the.
I think it's from Google.
It's from Google, exactly. Exactly.
But there are child apps with subscriptions, like parents can pay.
Yeah, but probably they don't connect to a server to verify subscription and things like that, and they don't send out the IP and all that.
Yeah.
So there's certain restrictions. But I assume that, of course, parents can authorize that. I know that here in Spain they can do that. I would assume.
Yeah, if the parent could add the kid to their account, because like my kids, when they were young, there are apps that only I can authorize to work on their account, even though they are not intended for them. But if there's a need for them to use that, then using that family management from Google, one could make that happen. Or best case scenario would be, you could install the parent account on there and just activate that. But definitely, I think if you add them to that family or whatever and manage their account, you should be able to do that.
I mean, ultimately, you can lie, right, and just take that.
Yeah, exactly.
If there was a more regular way to do it.
Well, I'm not going to
see what that was.
I'm not going to say that.
No, I can see how it would work otherwise.
As an application developer, we need to comply with. You need to think. You need to think that the Google Play Store runs across multiple countries. Each one having different laws. So as an application developer, you just need to comply with certain rules in order to make your application available, and that's fine with us. I'm sure that if we have put this 13 plus question, there is a reason behind it. I think it's because it's connecting to an external server to verify the validity of the subscription, and that qualifies you to ask for that question, and and that's what we do.
Okay, good. Because obviously for other child apps, you don't do that. They just have to pass the phone, and the parent does it. But no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Eduardo, here's another thing, and this is probably more technical for you guys because you know the technicalities and all of that.
Mhm.
I think one of the problems that sometimes we have as users of, and I'm looking at both Vocalizer and Eloquence, for example, there are times out there that it would kind of just something happens, something odd happens, and it's kind of like saying, please register, or I cannot find whatever. Is there some way, workarounds? For example, I know that in Vocalizer we have, should something happen, default to my Google TTS or just TTS. Are we also going to plan this for Eloquence? Because I think if something happens of this nature, it should default back to my Google.
That is the one of the requirements that we got from the alpha version. It's in our to-do list, yes, to default to a system TTS. In case something goes wrong and you're using a screen reader and you just want to know what's going on. So yes, that's something that we will have.
That's nice. And another thing that I thought was kind of a little bit odd in the settings of Eloquence. Now I'm disclosing here that I'm part of the alpha, but what I noticed, maybe you guys could rearrange where the language, for example, you have system language before the language choice. And so if I check use system language, just assuming that my language is on the US English, it goes dead because I have not chosen English US. And so I'm kind of requesting that maybe they should swap places. The language selection should come first before saying, okay, use my system language. That's the one thing I noticed. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's in the Eloquence settings, or not the system settings, right? That's the
that's in the Eloquence settings, and so I mistakenly tapped on use system language, and I was dead in water. I had to have my daughter help me turn it off. So,
That's we have full control over that UI. So yeah, certainly, we can do that.
So when it comes to checking the checking your license and making sure you're a registered user, do you know how often that's going to happen? Like, how often it will check? Like, do we need to be worried about having an internet connection, a solid internet connection for a certain amount of time?
No, you don't need to be worried about that. We've taken that into account. We all know that you can take a flight, and not have internet connection, and you want to continue using your screen reader. So that's being taken care of.
Okay, good.
So I want to move now to Vocalizer. We all know that you guys develop also, or actually you have the Android version of Vocalizer, which is developed by you. So what about Vocalizer? Well, to be honest with you, I'm here representing people. So I should be honest and say that people sometimes say that Code Factory doesn't communicate well with users. So for example, we stayed like for 3 years maybe, or no, maybe 2 years without knowing anything about Vocalizer. Some people were just speculating that Vocalizer is dead. And then we had another version, a beta version, and then an official stable version. And now actually we have nothing about Vocalizer, no words about Vocalizer. So what about Vocalizer, your other project? Is it still developed? Are you still working on Vocalizer? Is your full focus on Eloquence, or what's the case? There are people like me who are just more into Vocalizer, let's say, more into high quality voices, more into this type of voices. So what's the case about it? Can you please give us more information about this current status?
Okay,
because she likes my voice on there, the Warren voice from Vocalizer. I think that's what it is.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, we take feedback seriously, in the sense that every comment that's made on our software, every bug report, every feature request gets correctly tracked into our backtracking system, so that feedback is not lost. The thing is that we are a small company. We have very limited resources, and as you know, Vocalizer keeps evolving a lot. I mean, the core technology itself, it keeps evolving. It's sometimes hard to keep up with the new changes, and it is a matter of resource allocation. However, we plan to actually revamp Vocalizer right after we finish with Eloquence. So you will, in the next few months, you will see progress there.
So that's great to hear. I'm glad about it. And but just one thing, is there any plan to update Vocalizer, just a minor update to fix the issue related to crash? Actually, I use several TTS engines from several companies. And
Yeah.
I have to tell you that Vocalizer is the only one that's crashing for me. So from time to time,
Yeah.
it stops working. And as a screen reader user, it's
Yes.
the worst
It is a
thing to
pain.
have.
Yeah, I know.
Is there
Yeah,
any plan about that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, actually, as I said, as part of the revamping of our product, we will fix bugs. We will adapt to new requirements from the Android framework. So yes, stability is a must.
Okay, here's the one thing that has always bugged me, Edward, and it has to do with the voices or choice of voices. And I'm glad we got both the compact and the embedded. The one that I've been arguing about for the longest time is that now we have phones with huge storages. Why can't we be given a full-blown big, even if it's a 1 gig per voice? I have a 1 TB storage phone. I want to dump all that stuff onto my phone and have these great sounding voices, that unprocessed, natural sounding. I mean, in other words, just full-blown vocalizer without being embedded or compact. I'm glad we have those. But given the fact that now we have phones with these huge storages, why can we have that as an option for those that have phones with storage enough to get those voices?
Okay, there are several reasons for that. The first one is that, as you said, we have, as I said before, we have kept development of Vocalizer, let's say, the development and the update of the application to a minimum, and which we're going to fix, as I said. So adding new voices requires, or let's say adding new, like the premium voices as that you mentioned, requires, there's some technical challenges there with our servers, which is where the data is downloaded and so on. So it requires, let's say it's not a minor update to include those voices. There's also some technical things to keep into account with the SDK and the underlying technology of the TTS. It's not only changing the data files. Let's say it's more complicated than that. And the second reason is also, let's say it's more of a legal and licensing question. Let's say, which I cannot elaborate too much here. We know that it would be nice, but again, there's technical and legal challenges there for us to do that.
That totally makes sense, because I was always wondering what the problem was, but now that you've explained it, I think it makes a whole lot of sense as to why you guys are not able to do that. Because first I used to think, it was because of storage problems. You got a 16 gig phone or 32 gig phone, for example. But those storages have improved over the years, and I was seeing no reason not to have.
Yeah, but again, it's not a matter. It's not only a matter of storage. There's
it makes sense.
There's lots of technical challenges and licensing challenges there as well.
Yeah. Now, another question about Vocalizer, and do you guys plan on having more voices, for example, I know that in the English language here in the States, the US voices, we got some of those, a bunch of them. I think we probably have more, us and the UK probably have more voices than other places. Are you guys thinking of maybe down the road, maybe you could give us more voices if that's doable?
We have, our plan really is to have the full voice portfolio of vocalizer available for Android as well. Yeah. So that, users have a choice and, they have a variety of voices there. Yeah. We're going to do that.
That would be good. Because sometimes after a while, I kind of get tired of either hearing Zoe or
Yes.
Allison. I mean, Allison, I don't like the female voices too much. But then, the Tom and is it Tom? The male voice. It's not as clear for me as the female voices. So if I use vocalizer, I use that Allison, and it's probably my favorite.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to make the new vocalizer technology available to Android users, because over the last couple of years there have been dramatic advancements in the quality of voices using AI and neural networks and things like that. So the quality of the vocalizer voices that we can see now on our benchmarks are extremely high quality. So, but again, it's always also a technical challenge. You need to think that a PC or a server that runs voices on the cloud, it's not necessarily the same as a Samsung phone, let's say. The CPU requirements for running extremely high voices, can be a challenge to run that on a phone. So it's always, as I said, there's technical challenges there. So we will. My goal would be to provide the full range of voices. We'll see. If we can actually do that, but that's the goal for sure.
I think someone did try to do this, and they tried to give everyone access to 11 Labs and the Amazon ones as TTS engines, but online via tokens, and the phones couldn't cope, the servers couldn't cope. It just
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. You always need to. So to us, it makes no sense to have a TTS on the cloud for real-time usage of a screen reader, for example, especially running on a mobile phone that sometimes has limited internet connection, when you are on a plane or in the cinema or whatever.
Yeah. So this last weekend, our you'll have heard of the satellite provider Sky, probably. They operate in Europe too. So their screen reader is cloud based, and it's not working.
Yeah, exactly.
No one had Sky TV speech access for a weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, we don't really, as a company, we don't really believe that, because we know the accessibility challenges. We know that users depend on screen readers, so everything has to be embedded. But again, if you want to have a particular voice embedded on your mobile phone, you need to make sure that the mobile phone is able to cope with the requirements. So it's really a matter of analyzing, let's say, voice by voice and voice model by voice model, and know which ones can actually be working fine on a mobile phone in an embedded way. But certainly we will not develop a product that runs TTS on the cloud, because it goes against what the user wants, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, even if you have a perfect perfect internet connection, it's still not going to be as responsive. You know, there's
Absolutely.
going to be a lag there. It's like it's just
Absolutely.
not even worth trying to use it that way.
Yeah, which is something that many companies actually forget. The latency. If you're scrolling through a list, you want the feedback to be immediate, and
Yeah,
that's something
a lot
that
of people don't even like using Bluetooth headphones with their screen readers because it causes too much latency. But
yes, exactly.
if that's a problem, you're not going to ever want to run anything from the cloud.
Absolutely.
No, I'm not, and I'm not after cloud speech, for example. But I was just mentioning like voices that are already available, with Vocalizer that we already have offline. If we could have higher quality of those, that's what I was talking about. But definitely, when it comes to, I personally like if cloud voices, I only use those for like say reading related matters, but not like a screen reader usage, for example. So I totally understand that. Yeah.
No. Yep.
We talked about subscriptions. We talked about country-based prices.
Yep.
Will you also have something for those who have no Google Play available in their country or in their location? Are you planning on anything on them? Or will it be possible to gift somebody a subscription or something like that?
We'll see. That's something that I cannot answer.
Yeah.
I would say that we need to start with, let's say the wider audience that we can, and then we'll see if that really becomes a problem in specific areas, and see how we can fix that. So I would say we are aware that can happen, but it's not planned to be available in the first release of the software.
That makes sense. So
Exactly,
always
exactly.
stability first. Let's make sure what we have is stable enough. And then if there's some more options regarding certain areas, then we could just look into those. But I think that priority right now is to make sure that what we have coming down the pipe is stable enough. And then all that subscription stuff is taken care of. I think this is probably one of those things that people are going to be clamoring for, to make sure that they have that affordability.
Yeah, exactly.
And my other question was going to be, obviously, that the subscription method makes absolute sense in terms of maintenance and ongoing development.
Yep.
It probably also raises expectations in terms of people's ability to request new features. Will there be some sort of channel for people to do that? Will it be GitHub? Please say it won't be GitHub. No average user should ever have to use GitHub. It is bad that any NVDA, like, let's put your listening ears on. No user should ever have to use GitHub to make a feature request.
No.
But will there be a way to request?
Yeah. We first of all, we always monitor the mailing lists, the let's say the popular mailing lists, and we try to be there to know what the market is asking. We also get lots of questions directly to our company through our website. So yeah, I mean, we will listen to the feedback, and as you say, the idea of a subscription model is to have let's say a steady flow of income in order to keep maintaining the product, adding new features, listening to the users, and keeping Eloquence alive for many years.
Sounds great.
And which again, I think it's important to note that it's good to have an ecosystem of companies that actually provide this type of technologies, not only Eloquence, but all sorts of screen readers and everything. Because yes, it's very nice to have them embedded on the operating system and have them for free, which I like. But then it's probably not. I'm sure that these companies, they put their priorities in different orders. So I think it's good that the developers of Eloquence for Android are available to answer emails and listen to feedback, and that we're a small company and that we can prioritize things depending on real-time user feedback, instead of having to wait for a year to have a particular bug or feature request developed.
Let's talk about something else. And I'm looking at the Wear OS, the watches and the TV.
Exactly.
Would you
I was
guys
going
be,
to.
yeah, exactly. Because, the reason why sometimes, and I'm looking at myself, I don't use my watch often. I buy this watch and then it sits there in the drawer.
But I
and
do.
it boils down to maybe the TTS on there. I'm not really liking the Google TTS on my watch, for example, or on my TV. Would you guys do us a favor? Can you just develop this thing also for the watch and the TV?
That is also feedback that we got from the alpha, and even pre-alpha with
exactly. Here I'm on a Samsung watch, and I guess this is gonna make our watch run faster because Google TTS is a little bit falling behind.
Actually, during the development of let's say the port to 64-bit, we made that there's different CPUs and different there's the ARM, and then there's the x86 and 64 and so on. We tried to make sure that when we did the effort to port it to 64-bit, we could cover as many architectures as we technically could, in let's say in advance to what you're requesting, to have these technology available on different devices other than mobile phones. Really, I don't think that we're going to be seeing that in the first release. Again, we need to set our priorities straight and in the right order. But certainly that's something that's technically possible. And I'm sure that once we have a first release out and we're stable and we're, we can allocate some more resources to that's something that we can do.
Yeah, because in the past, some of us that have the technical know-how, we're able to sideload the APK of Eloquence, for example, onto the watch. And if this is doable, then it tells me then that this is a possibility, most especially now that you have what is coming, working on both 64-bit and 32 bits, that would therefore be able to get installed on the watch or on a TV, for example. So I'm really looking forward to it. But like I said, though, you guys need to do the first things first, get us stable, get all that needs to be worked out, get it all done. And then, of course, we'll be talking about these other things, which are icing on the cake. And I'm looking for that icing on the cake, even though I don't like cakes, but I'll take this icing.
Yeah, I love cakes. I'm all good.
I know you, Sally boy. Like your sweet stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since you're here, there will be the final question. Beside Vocalizer and Eloquence, should we expect any other product from Code Factory?
That's something that I cannot discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good at keeping secrets.
That's a yes.
Certainly,
That's a yes.
certainly.
That means
if Eloquence goes well, and we'll revamp, let's say, our Android, let's say, products and so on. Yeah, we're open and we're discussing internally to develop additional software for Android. Yeah, why not? I would personally love to do that.
And something wild, I would love to see that. You guys are good in Braille, for example. It wouldn't be bad to have a Braille, virtual Braille keyboard from Code Factory. It works well with Eloquence and all of that good stuff. Just throwing something wild out there.
Yeah. That's a good request, yeah.
The main issues aren't the keyboards. It's that LibLouis is a horrible Braille translation table. It's what everybody uses, and they shouldn't. someone needs a better Braille translation table. So that will be the issue. So I'm going to put the question back on you, Sally. Did you have anything in mind when you asked Eduard that question? Are there any products you thought they might be developing?
Well, I was just asking that if they have anything in their mind, because that's what I wanted to hear, and I think they will be. So
Yeah.
Oh, I wondered whether you were thinking of anything in particular that they might
And
have.
they better
No.
not be thinking of a
Like,
GPS.
like
'cause-
Android mobile accessibility, for instance,
yeah,
a
who knows?
closed environment like
Oh,
Symbian. I didn't know if you meant
screen
that.
reader,
for instance.
something. Yeah.
maybe like a launcher or something like that.
Isn't the screen reader good enough? I mean,
We don't mind another one.
Karine,
Well,
is
having
there a
an-
good Android screen reader? Karine,
Yeah.
is there one?
Yeah, indeed. There's a reader which is perfect called Joshua.
Or in
This
other
is the
words,
answer
it's
that
called
you
the
want to hear.
confused. It's called the confused screen reader. That's my own baptismal name for that Joshua screen reader, the confused screen reader. But the more screen readers we have, choices
We
that
don't
we
mind
have on
another one,
Android,
exactly.
no, we
Yeah.
wouldn't mind it.
Yeah,
No, I don't mind having too much food in my house.
yeah.
the problem as always is, it's very hard to compete with a free product,
Exactly.
So and that's why I was saying that it's good to have. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I like an ecosystem of companies competing with providing new technologies, and that's especially important in accessibility. That's something that I used to enjoy a lot in the Symbian days 20 years ago. I know I'm old, but really having 2 or 3 companies trying to come up with the best possible screen reader for Symbian phones really made users have really good products that went beyond what the OS manufacturer would have developed on their own and put on their phones. That I'm absolutely sure.
But the problem at that time was that the competition didn't make the prices go low. So we had very expensive screen readers. So for Symbian, for example, we had Talks and Mobile Speak, and they were both expensive. Sometimes you could get the phone cheaper than the screen reader itself, which was like, screen reader is vital.
Okay, yeah, and that's a good point. But I would add, it depends on where you bought and at what point in time you bought it. Nokia, for example, put our screen reader, a version of Mobile Speak, for free on the Nokia C5 at some point, and it was available in many countries at no cost. So yes, when the product was launched, both Talks and Mobile Speak in the early days, and our distribution network where small companies in Belgium or Sweden or Spain, yes, the prices were high. I agree with you. But as soon as the big blind organizations, like I think in the United States is the AFB or something like that, I don't know, but ONCE in Spain, or when the carriers like Vodafone, T-Mobile, AT&T, they started to see an opportunity there to be more user-friendly, you immediately saw the prices going down to basically zero. I remember Vodafone in Spain was buying us the software and they were giving it away for free to the end users, and then when the manufacturers came into the picture, they licensed the software directly from us to be available on their devices for free. So I agree with what you say, but it depends on the time and the place. But again, having an ecosystem of which now we're going into the totally opposite direction, and I'm not sure that's good for the user, to be honest with you. As a company, it's impossible to compete. As I was saying, yes, I can develop a screen reader for Android, but I'm competing with TalkBack, which is installed by default and free.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, again, it's great, but you're preventing other companies from innovating. I mean, if you see the progression of the Symbian screen reader, both Talks and Mobile Speak, if you see the progression of those screen readers from 2004 to, let's say, 2007, only 3 years, we added so many features. We started with, just reading the basic applications to, in 3 years, supporting the web browser and Braille devices and magnification. And we did that in 3 years or 2 or 3 years because there was competition and there was a good ecosystem. And because the operating system manufacturer, we had direct contact with them, we could request for some changes or some information, and there was a good ecosystem there to thrive and develop really good software for the end users. That's really what we were all about, providing the best user experience. Whereas, in my opinion, right now the big companies are more focused on complying with regulations rather than providing good technology and new features and take risks and add new features. So I'm yes, it is great that those those solutions are for free and they are bundled with the phone, but I'm not sure if preventing third parties from doing that is the best way to do it for the user.
Well, let me tell you something. Because I use another screen reader, the one that he was asking about before, the Jisho screen reader, which is a Chinese one. Well, TalkBack is still very basic. So there are many things that another screen reader could bring to the table. And since I'm a user of the other screen reader, I can tell you that the other screen reader provides a lot of additional features and a lot of additional customizations. So it's still possible to do something. And let me tell you the price. Actually, you have the annual subscription is $18, which is very good. So because if you look at the feature that it provides. But if we talk about like mobile accessibility previously, the one that you developed, it was about maybe $100. So it wasn't an annual subscription. I think it was a lifetime one. But $100 for a screen reader is something like you pay for once. It's something like I don't think that many people are able to afford this. So this is the point.
Yeah. But you're comparing prices now from prices in probably 10 to 15 years ago. We launched our first product for Android in 2009. The user base of Android for accessibility was inexistent.
It was very low. Yeah.
Yes.
But so here's the thing: the whole idea, because like you mentioned earlier on, Eduard, I know that my phone company here, for example, I was able to use it for free with Verizon on the HTC Ozone, which was a Windows phone. And so I see how other companies, like the different phone carriers, could do what they did. For example, here in the States, whether you're on ATT or whatever, you got Mobile Speak for free. Mobile accessibility, I think that's what it was, and that's the only way I was able to get it on Verizon on a Windows phone. And so I can see how it can go that way when you have companies collaborating with developers like you guys. Leave it to you guys, and then they provide it to their customers and all of that. I think it's a win-win situation. However, the screen reader thing that you're talking about, it's hard to compete with something that comes natively on the phone. For example, TalkBack comes naturally or natively on the phone, and the one that Karen is talking about, if we're to be honest, I don't know how many people are paying members of that screen reader, for example, and then you put on all the cracking heads in there. It's not a good situation for people. So I wish that people would stop doing this type of thing to encourage developers, so that we have features that we need that the native screen reader doesn't have. But when you have people trying to crack what is being worked on to give us extra capabilities, then it kind of dampens the spirit of the developer.
Absolutely. Again, the developers of accessibility solutions for Android, I'm sure there are not that many, and the opportunities that we have to bring new products is being reduced over time. So we're basically left on Android with providing, TTS voices, or as Corinne was saying, maybe develop a better screen reader. But there's not many options that we have there to develop new business and be and innovate on accessibility for Android. So if the community cracks those applications, what can we do, right? I mean, if we release Eloquence for Android, and it gets cracked within a month, what do you think Code Factory is going to do? Do you think we're going to be investing hundreds of thousands of euros or dollars into developing new features for Eloquence? That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And I think that the reason why the other screen reader, the confused screen reader, is surviving is because it's one person. It doesn't have a staff that is paying or whatever the case may be. So I can see how that could be different. Even if all I'm getting is $500 a month from that, it may be good enough for him. But if you have staff that you need to pay and the funds are drying up because someone is cracking it, you're not going to progress with developing that.
And also, of course, we're talking about Android, but the options on iOS are even more limited, right? I mean, there you cannot develop a screen reader because, as far as I know, there's no API, and I'm not even sure if you can develop additional text-to-speech engines other than the ones that come bundled with the operating system. Maybe there are. I'm not sure, but again, I mean, the options for assistive companies are going down in opportunities for mobile devices. A few years ago, we had multiple platforms. We had Symbian, we had iOS, we had Android, we had Symbian. Right now, there's only two, which are destroying the ecosystem of developers that can actually do something nice and risky for the blind. So, I mean, I don't think it's going in the right direction, but again, maybe I'm just being, too old and,
no,
but I've been here. I've been developing software for the blind for 30 years. So I've seen all platforms. I've seen everything, right? I'm not everything, but I've seen a lot. And I can tell you for sure that 20 years ago, there was an ecosystem that made,
there's no competition within certain platforms anymore. Like there's no screen readers trying to be the best screen reader on Android because it's right now it's Google versus Apple, right? It's the only competition for TalkBack is VoiceOver. And if they're as good as VoiceOver, they don't have to make TalkBack better. And
I think Corinne would disagree with that. I think she would say that G-Show is significantly better than
as far as Google is concerned. Let's put it that way. Like they're not going to improve TalkBack because of Jishuo. It doesn't matter how good Jishuo gets. Like their competition is VoiceOver.
Yeah, I agree, John. Yeah. I agree. I think that's where it all boils down to, is between those two. And to be honest, those are the things that come in natively. If I do a reset today, I have confused screen reader on, it's not going to come on. It's gone bye-bye, baby. But TalkBack is, of course, going to come on. VoiceOver, of course, is going to come on. Now, Edward,
I told you, Warren, before that's a silly comparison. Like narrator in XP
it's not.
Narrator in XP
silly.
was like that.
No, we will
Jaws
always
wouldn't come on in
disagree on
Windows
this.
ever.
No,
Jaws does not come on in Windows natively.
No,
like
it
if
doesn't.
G2A fails.
No, yeah, it doesn't.
But
yeah.
no one says narrator is better than Jaws. Like,
No. I'm not saying it's better,
head, right?
but I'm just saying I can get up and running with it.
But
here's the
it
one thing
it doesn't make it a good screen
Okay,
reader.
Ed, we've been down this road. Let's not talk about this.
know.
You and I will never agree on this. But
You
here's
guys
one.
can argue about this in any episode.
Exactly. He likes to bring silly stuff. But Edward, let's talk about something, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. So did you guys develop for iOS, which I call the Fruitvale, or did they do it on their own? I'm talking about Eloquence now, because there's been that mystifying thing. Did it come from you guys, or did it come from somewhere else?
I know the answer to the question, but I'm so under
not at liberty
so
to
many
talk about it.
NDAs that I cannot tell the exact story. It's not for me to tell the story.
That's fair enough.
But I can confirm that it was not Code Factory that did that.
Thank you.
So Apple paid money to somebody.
I can tell. I can
No,
say
he
anything else.
doesn't know.
What
Yeah.
what I can say is that Code Factory did not do it.
Okay. Fair enough.
One thing, if you have a subscription model now, and this will be a controversial suggestion, and I suppose you could argue it's a many-headed hydra, as almost like a reverse refer a friend for a discount. Would you ever consider instituting a refer a cracker for a discount?
What do you mean?
So if a file has been distributed on a Telegram group,
Yes.
would you give someone a month off for referring that Telegram group to Code Factory?
We're not into the police business.
No, but it's your software, right? And
it is our software. We
Yeah.
will find out eventually. I mean, you should see the sales graph on Google Play when the cracked version was released. I mean, it's like it's no secret. The community is small. We'll know. We don't need to report or sue anyone. I mean, it's a matter of, okay, this has happened. What do we do next? And the more, I would say, the most logical thing to do if that happens is to simply abandon Eloquence. To be honest with you, I mean, what can we do?
Yeah, but we don't want Eloquence.
By the way, and something that I have not mentioned that I wanted also to bring up is that there's many cracked versions of Eloquence out there. There's not only one, and we have analyzed quite a few of them, of course, to know how it was cracked and so on. Most of them have malware installed on the cracked Eloquence version.
Does not surprise me.
Yeah. Huge amounts of malware.
It's when you're cracking something like a TTS engine or a screen reader, you literally have access to everything that person is doing on their device.
Of course.
And somebody who's cracking something is not somebody you could trust with literally everything you're doing on your phone.
Exactly. And these crackers are not stupid. I mean, they don't do it for the sake of the blind community. They do it for their own sake. And of course, their job is to take popular applications, especially in certain countries, and make them freely available, crack them, make them freely available so that they're installed by hundreds or tens of thousands of users so that they can steal data. And again, a TTS has access to everything, your PIN codes, your bank account numbers, everything, because you give it permission to do it when you install it.
The worst case is I've seen some sort of groups, they sell cracked software.
Yeah.
They sell it
and then steal your data after that.
Of course. Yeah. It is a huge business, and wow. I personally analyzed several cracked versions of Eloquence. And yeah, there's malware there, and God knows what they're doing with all that information.
Yeah. Tell us something, Edward. Are you blind yourself, or you're a
No, I'm
sighted
not.
person? Okay,
No.
that's good. Because I was just kind of wondering
And
something I
Are you
wanted to ask,
using
but I didn't.
Android for your personal phone? That's the question.
the
If
truth.
if you're on iOS, this
No,
episode will
he's using Fruitvale.
no this
Okay.
won't
Do
be-
I have to answer? Do I have to answer that one?
if you're using
Okay.
Fruitvale, it's not be published.
No. Okay. Let's say that I personally use iPhone. Sorry, but for example, my kids are using Android. So at a personal level,
I love your kids.
Yeah, my kids. Yeah.
at a personal level, I'm very involved in Android, and at work, of course, I'm very involved in Android because we develop applications for Android.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was one of the early adopters of Android back in, I think it was 2009 or 2008. I had Android phones for many years, and at some point, don't ask me why I switched to an iPhone. I wouldn't mind. Actually, a couple of years ago, I went back to Android for a while. So it to me, I haven't really found a phone that that ergonomically suits me. Let's say it's not necessarily the OS. It's, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll put it this way: if I show my knucklehead out there in Barcelona, dinner's on you, because
absolutely, you're all invited. You're all invited.
You can take us to Pla.
there you go.
Yeah.
Lauren's gonna pick a restaurant where they only take Apple Pay.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Pla is an amazing restaurant in Barcelona. I do
Yeah.
like Pla.
Yeah.
Yes, I know it.
Yeah.
We do want to thank you, though, for coming on. This has been fantastic, and we got to touch on everything relating to eloquence, things that matter to us the most, and to our listeners, and all of that. And then, but the one thing I want to say before we let you go, you got to make me this promise. Coming up next year, we have our listener and developer open session where we have listeners come in and developers come in. I'm going to be sending you guys that invitation, and you want to make sure you come, and drag Martinez to come in here with you. I know he tries to complain to me about his English, but just drag him in here
Absolutely,
anyway.
yeah. I'll be happy to join. Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us.
John, how can people get in touch with us?
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers plus subscribe @groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Well, that's it for this week, folks. Say bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone, and thanks for listening, and looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Don't forget about that party coming up on December the 20th.
Goodbye. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening. Have a good week.
Goodbye. Have a great week, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.